Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Alexandra Roberti of The Blue Heron Sings. I am a therapist, an empowerment coach, and also I started delving into mental health and wellness recovery coaching as a way to break certain barriers that regular therapy sessions can create. So anyways, I love doing mini video sessions on ways to heal ourselves, which as a therapist, you hear a lot, we call it self-care. Anyways, I'm all about mind, body, spirit, and making sure everything is in alignment. And that is a balancing act, and that is practice. Okay, practice makes better, not perfect. There are no perfect patties. So what I do in my mini videos is I pull from one of my favorite decks, which is the Chakra Wisdom Oracle cards, and I use them as intuitive guidance. They're by Tori Hartman. They're great. I love them. And today's card is Isolation, which is all about the throat chakra. And those of you that don't know about the throat chakra, that is the chakra of truth. That is the chakra of communication, creative expression, your ability to be heard and to be understood, and living in your truth. So without further ado, I'm going to read the card that comes with the deck. Now, I love these cards because it reminds me of children and fables, and each card has a legend that comes with it. For those of you that don't know the work that I do a lot of trauma healing, I do a lot of addiction healing, and more importantly, that includes a lot of inner child work, so they're perfect. So, the legend of Sapphire's Blue. That's who we're talking about. Sapphire is blue. Occasionally he gets invited somewhere, but invariably he turns the invitation down. After all, what would he wear? He bought a tux once, just in case, but won't wear it because he might spill something on it. Besides, going out would alter his routine. He's tried to meet people, but hasn't met anyone of his caliber, so Sapphire stays home alone and remains quite blue. So when I read this today and I got ready to share on this in this video, what came to mind or what stuck out to me was the part where it said, he's tried to meet people but hasn't met anyone of his caliber. You know those times when you have thoughts in your head like, they won't understand, why bother? Or they've never been through what I've been through, so they won't understand me. And so we remain and repress our feelings and what we feel inside us. That's what's really sticking out to me, so I'm pretty much going to go in that direction, right? Because that relates a lot to me with the isolation. So what we want is to feel a part of something, but what we end up doing is pushing that very thing away because it's not what we think it should look like, or those people are our people. And so we keep ourselves small, repressed, and isolated. And one of the reasons that can happen is, as a child, you remember I do a lot of inner child work, a lot of my assessments do a thorough background on the way we were raised, because even if there was not malintention, sometimes that is what becomes, and it creates this facade that we put out there, or we think that we should live a certain way. I'm just going to say this one so I don't forget it later. Religion. That's an excellent example of how our voices can be shunned, right? Because as a kid, you do what your parents want you to do. You go to the church that they want you to go to, usually, and you're forced into believing those beliefs of that particular religion. It's a great example of how our voice can be shunned, right? So when we start believing that there could be something else out there, or a different way of believing, or a different way of religion that isn't what we grew up with, it can be very confusing, and it can put us out of alignment when you're talking about the chakras especially. Another way that our voice can become repressed and small is, you hear a lot, children should be seen, not heard, right? I mean, perhaps in your family, there were times when you would rather be alone in your room because it was safer there. If you were in your room, nobody would put the attention on you despite all the dysfunction that was going out in the living room, per se. Maybe you had a parent that was an alcoholic, or perhaps you had a brother that was off the chain and poor behavior in school, acting out this or that. And so it was safe for you to go into your room. But that room became a safety net for you. And now as we grow older, the goal is to expand and release those old behaviors that no longer serve us. Let me look at my notes really quick. Make sure I'm not missing things I wanted to share on this topic. Yeah. So really, you also could have had experiences, and this didn't necessarily have to come from a childhood, but even as you grew up, when you expressed yourself, perhaps it didn't have the outcome that you had hoped. Maybe you got made fun of. Maybe you were shamed in whatever way that was for you. Those experiences shape us and bring us to a place of, well, why bother? Why speak out? Why share my thoughts? My thoughts are wrong. And so your goal is to undo those behaviors, undo those thought patterns. Another thing that I would like to talk about as far as isolation, and more so the throat chakra, is, let's say you say yes all the time. Maybe you're a yes person. You say yes to going out with your friends, and really you ended up canceling on them, or you said yes to a neighbor. You said you would help them move, okay, and you developed some resentment towards it. Maybe you didn't follow through. Maybe you only gave them an hour of help instead of the full 5 hours that they wanted. When those things are out of alignment, it's a good indication that perhaps in the first place you weren't really listening to your intuition. And that intuition I like to call the inner child. So I have a few journal exercises for you in relation to the throat chakra, in relation to isolation. Do you know the difference between isolation and solitude? Two very different words. One keeps you closed off from the world, and the other is a way that you can reflect, release stress, discover more about yourself and who you really are and who you want to bring forward in the world. So, the question for journaling: do I know the difference between isolation and solitude? Another journaling question to help you explore the throat chakra is, do my thoughts, words, and actions agree? Remember what I just said about listening to your intuition? This is a great journaling exercise for you. Do my thoughts, words, and actions agree? Am I in alignment? Here's another one. Do I live in my truth? Am I walking my talk, basically? Do I live in my truth? Another question that you can ask in a journaling session: what unfinished communication might be creating obstacles in my life? What unfinished communication might be creating obstacles in my life? I love this one. I love doing unsent letters. And I love exploring and reflecting, especially in the journal, the ways in which my past experiences are brought forth into my current life. What do I need to release? What unfinished communication might be creating obstacles in my life? Ooh, it's so good. It is so good. I would love for anybody that resonates with anything that I have said, please reach out to me through the personal message, or on my Facebook. You can find my direct information. But I would love to hear any questions you're having regarding this, any struggles you've had, any experiences that you've had. This is the kind of stuff that lights me up. I love helping people develop their own intuition and develop awareness on certain behaviors and patterns that just don't serve us anymore. Okay, let me see what else I wrote. Nope, I think that's all I have. Oh, one more thing I want to leave you with is a positive affirmation to use. I communicate my feelings and emotions in healthy ways. I'll say that again. I communicate my feelings and emotions in healthy ways. All right, that concludes my session, my little video today on isolation and the throat chakra. So, what you're going to be working on is focusing on not isolating yourself from others, not keeping yourself away from potential support systems for you, even if that's creatively, right? I said that the throat chakra is also about creativity and self-expression. Perhaps there's a meetup group that you want to join for poetry writing or writing a book. There are resources out there. There are support groups out there for you. Don't hold yourself from it until you get to the place you want to be. Life's happening right now. All you have to do is put yourself in that situation now. I had pulled another card, which was Power of Attraction, okay? And you see these honeycombs on it, which is bees. I think there's even little bees up here, which is all about community and building a support system and being there for one another. In your past, you may have had experiences that were terrible for you or traumatic for you, and you learned not to trust people. This is the time where you break free of these old beliefs and start believing in something greater out there, starting to believe that there are people out there of your caliber, per se. Whether that's a support group, a writing group, whatever it is, put yourself out there. Don't be afraid of that anymore. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to stop there. Have a wonderful day.